What if I told you that sales is really more about listening than it is pitching? It's more about paying attention to the person you're asking questions to completely understand and to develop rapport. Did you know that two words, listen and silent, have the same exact letters? They're just rearranged. We cannot listen unless we're silent. And the problem with most salespeople is they want to talk, talk, talk 85% of the time, where it really should be the 80-20 rule. So the question comes up is, well, Neil, what's the 80-20 rule? Very, very simple. Salespeople should be talking 20% of the time, and that's asking questions and probing. And the person they're talking to, the client or the prospect, should really talk 80% of the time. When you let your customers speak 80% of the time, immediately you're building rapport, which leads to trust, which leads to confidence in you. That's the beginning. You'll also develop stronger relationships as a result. Imagine you're looking for your dream home, and the first realtor you meet just starts bringing you around to various homes, and it's really a waste of your time. The next realtor you meet says, let's sit down for 15 minutes, have a cup of coffee. What are you looking for? Describe your dream home. Is it by a pond? Does it have a pool? How many bedrooms does it have? This really good, highly experienced realtor is asking enough questions to really develop rapport and gain your trust to help you find exactly what you're looking for in a dream home. That's the difference between someone who really listens and cares and someone who does not. You hear me talk a lot about listening, but there's more to it. It's really active listening. And to do that, you've got to ask questions that really matter. So let's go back to that realtor example, the real good realtor, asking questions like, ideally, what neighborhood would you like to live in? Do you want it close to schools or supermarkets or the Apple store? Describe your ideal home. What's it look like? How many bedrooms? How large is the kitchen? How many bathrooms? Do you want a playroom? Do you want a pool? So I'm asking questions, and then I'm going to pause and let them answer. And by the way, I don't do rapid fire questions like I just did. I'm just trying to give you some examples. These should be in the back of your head. You ask one, you listen. You ask another, you listen. You probe, tell me more about that, and you listen. So it's not an interrogation. It's a number of questions that really help you get a complete understanding of your client and exactly what they're looking for. So you're probably wondering, what's in it for me? If I'm a good listener, so what? I'm going to tell you 4 key points that good listeners gain. Number 1, they gain rapport. Number 2, they gain the trust of the client because you've actively listened and probed. Number 3, it gives you a better understanding in terms of what their needs are, what they truly want, not kind of want, what they truly want. And finally, it helps you with enhanced problem solving because now you know exactly what they need. And when you do that, as a good listener, it separates you from probably 90% of your competitors. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, Neil, come on, just cut to the chase. Give me the 5 to 10 really good questions that I should ask every client I talk to. I'll talk about that, but first, one more thing on listening. When you're listening, it's really important that you probe and you say, Vinny, tell me more about that. And so now you're digging more deeply, which shows you're listening and you want more information. The other thing, which should be a good habit for you as you go forward, is to say, okay, based on what I've heard, these 3 points are really important to you. Is that accurate? Did I understand that? It gives them an opportunity to feed it back to you and say, well, you got 2 of them. But the 3rd point, what I really meant was this. Now I understand exactly what you're looking for. So it's almost like a tennis match going back and forth, but you show that you're listening and you've probed, and now you have a complete understanding. And that signifies to them that you are really, truly paying attention to this conversation. Okay, now that we've covered listening skills and probing and all those other portions of consultative selling, let me just share some of the most common questions I ask that really got my clients talking about what they want. First of all, I always like to ask them, what are your big time goals? Long term, if we could project out 36 months, where do you see your business? Now, obviously, this is going to change based on the industry, but I always like to ask, where do you want to go? Because I wanted to find out, do these folks have goals, right? So what are their long-term goals over the next 3 years? 10 years is too far away. 3 years, because I can help them in 3 years. Number two, what are the challenges you're running into right now? What's preventing you from getting from where you are now to where you want to be? Number three, are you open to ideas? I meet a lot of successful business people, and I gain ideas from them that I share with my clients. Would you be open-minded to hear more ideas based on what you've told me earlier when we had our discussion about your needs? So those are three. One of the things I always like to ask my clients so that I can really keep my promises is, how often would you like to hear from me? Number one. And how do you want to hear from me? Do you want me to call or email? So I'll give you an example. There were two business partners in the same office, and they'd been partners 25 years. And I asked Steve, how often would you like to hear from me? He said, Neil, once a quarter would be fantastic. Once a quarter. Let's go play golf. Let's go to dinner. His business partner said, Neil, I'd like to hear from you every week. Send me an email or give me a phone call and tell me what's working. Give me some good ideas to help me grow my business. So then it was up to me to keep my promise. Because for Steve, who wanted to be seen and talked to quarterly, if I called him every month, I'm going to really hurt that relationship. And as a salesperson, I really want to help grow that relationship. So those are a couple of good questions I like to ask, and I found they were really important, because if you have a chance to prove yourself, it really builds your reputation as someone with integrity, someone that listens, and someone that follows through. So, I gave you 5 questions. The challenge is every business is different. If you're selling lumber versus selling diamonds or selling cars or selling homes, the questions are going to be a little bit different. Now, I'll cover all of that, and I cover that with my clients when we have our training seminars, because there I know exactly the business they're in, and I will have created at least 20 specific questions for their industry. So I just covered listening skills, which is one of the key components of consultative selling. The other one is presentation skills, because you've got to know how to present, what to present, and exactly how to grab their attention. So please join us for the next video on presentation skills.